Hello everyone. Thanks for watching another random palm reading. This person has sent me their palms via email. They've paid for me to do a palm reading on my YouTube channel, and they've asked me all sorts of questions. They would like to know about their marriage, kids, environment, relationships in general, also about their financial situation, their money, career, what kind of life is ahead of them, any hidden talents, their characteristics, anything that I can read from their palms that's worth knowing. So this is a full palm reading. Let's hope I get this right. Now, these are the only images I've been sent. Now, straight away, I can see we have here a very analytical person, lots of very watery elements here. The palm itself is long. The fingers are not quite long enough to constitute as long themselves. So we have here a mixture between fire and water. I would say there's more water here than fire. The Jupiter finger appears a little higher set than the rest of the fingers. They're also very in line with each other. This person had a good understanding of their own capabilities. And what I find interesting is Jupiter veers away from the rest of the fingers until the last tip, where things become a bit more spiritual. Now, just to get a bit closer here, to get a closer insight, if we look close, we can see a whirl on Jupiter. This is a very individualistic trait. This person is a bit of a non-conformist. They do things in their own way, and they are highly logical. Notice that the second phalanx of the thumb there, it's nice and even. It's not sort of, overdeveloped. It's not wasting at all. This is, nicely balanced here. There's a lot of ideas, and I noticed there's a very even space in between the head and the heart line. The space in between both here is very even throughout, and this provides, also very wide as well, a large space. So this means that there is a lots of an open-minded attitude and a very rational, very logical, at the same time as having a good grasp on what is possible on the abstract. I think one of the things I pick up here straight away is that Saturn and the Apollo finger sit very closely together. They're also sort of hugging each other as well. They are, this is a team player. This is someone who's very closely connected to their environment. Probably lots of family commitments at home. There's probably a strong need to, pay the bills, put food on the table. Now, the only other thing I didn't mention here was that they were born in 2007. So we're actually looking at someone who is quite young indeed, at 17 years old. And already I've mentioned that this person feels very obligated to contribute to the family unit, to the domestic sphere. And I'm not taking that back because, when two fingers sit so closely together, it's often a sign of being stuck in a rut, or at least a feeling of that. The left hand shows us the feeling, the right hand shows us how that feeling materializes. The left is what's inside, the right is what's outside. And also, what I notice here, and this is key, is that the Saturn finger at the tip leans in quite sharply on the left hand, as does Jupiter. And this is generally a sign of someone who has been um, raised with a certain way of thinking that might not necessarily be in line with how they think and feel. Notice on the right hand, this still happens, this leaning in towards the rest of the fingers with Jupiter and Saturn, but not as sharply. We've got a stronger lean only at the tips here. So this is showing us that this person is coming into their own, understanding the world in the world in the way that they see it. As I said, this person is a non-conformist with this whirl here on Jupiter. Albert Einstein had a whirl on Jupiter, and it's a very individualistic way of doing things. Jupiter is the finger of decision making, authority, ambition, ego, and religion as well. Now, particularly when we're concerning the tips of the fingers, we're talking more about how we receive and respond to stimuli and information around us. So we're talking more about ego and ambition and spirituality when we're looking at the tip of Jupiter. So when this is bent slightly, it could be a sign that someone has been not coerced, but sort of criticized or molded into a certain way of thinking about what it is they should be doing, or a certain way about how they should be thinking and or feeling. So it's really showing this person is coming into their own and aligning themselves with how it is that they see and feel the world around them. The other thing I'd really like to mention here before I move on is with the fingers leaning in, though, you know, closely hugging and leaning in like this closely together, it's really showing a considerate nature, someone who is, as I say, committed to contributing, and they are thinking about others, they're thinking about their environment and how best they can stand upright in their community and carry out their duties and be honorable. You then link their talents, their achievements, and what makes them their skill sets, what makes them shine. Now, I don't have a great deal to go off because these are the only images I have of this person. But what I do find interesting is that the thumb, so what I'm trying to say is I'm not going to take too much away from this. The thumb on the left hand, the space in between the fingers here, if we are looking at a very realistic and natural, and accurate representation of how the hands naturally sort of lie and lean, we've got more of an angle and more of an open angle here on the right hand, and this shows this person is becoming more open-minded, more open to the world, more willing to put themselves out there to make bold decisions and to take risks in order to try out new things, to gain new experiences. Can't quite see the fingertip on Apollo, unfortunately, but I will say that this is a very creative headline, a headline that can say, what if? It's somewhat financially motivated, but not to the point where, materialism is sort of overtaking. This person has, as I say, a good sense of morals. The heart line here is a deep and strong heart line, a strong feeling heart line. It's low lying. There's a strong capacity to love and care for others, to be compassionate, sympathetic. It's a multifaceted, um, emotional love languages here. This person is sentimental. They are very emotionally aware, very emotionally intelligent, and they have a good sense of right and wrong. Their love language is also likely on the physical side as well. This person has quite a lot of strong needs there in terms of relationship. The heartline reaches up in between Jupiter and Saturn, the self and how we are seen by others, the self and duty and honor. So it's showing this balanced sense of right and wrong. But also the heartline reaches right over onto Jupiter itself. And this is always a sign of someone who is a bit of a philanthropist, someone who is highly idealistic, expects a lot from themselves. This is already touching on what I've said at the beginning of this video, that they are contributing their thinking and feeling quite strongly about their domestic sphere and those that they are committed to. And so, because of this highly idealistic nature, they also expect a lot from others as well, others that they are closest to. So, they truly require someone who is just as emotionally intelligent as they are, as aware as they are, someone who is able to give um, emotionally, but in ways of, sentimentally as well as physically, as well as, giving their time and effort. So really, as they are a sort of a triple threat in terms of their love language, they too need someone who is equally that way inclined. Now, being 17, currently at their life at the moment, they are at a point in their life which is actually very difficult for them because after this time there is an island here, and it's up until the age of about 24 for this person. It's a stressful period, and it could well be university or something similar. At this particular age that they're at right now, 17, it appears as though, you can see the heart line reaching down into the lifeline. This shows disappointment and hurt. There's been an event very close to home that's been quite impactful, quite hurtful, quite difficult to deal with. And it's during this time up until 24 that they really start to carve their own sort of destiny. So they've asked a question about their personal life, and I have to say their environment as well. And the lifeline here, when we see this kind of, it's almost detached. The lifeline appears to sort of begin anew, separate from this. It's not, broken as such. It's it is sort of broken, but it's not too separated so that it's life-threatening. And as I say, this occurs at about the age of, I'd say about 19, from 19 to 22. It's during this very difficult, stressful time. So this might well be a period of learning and quite literally removing themselves outside of this environment, outside of their home, domestic sphere, outside of the need to um, commit, to feel obligated towards contributing to what they actually feel, sort of stuck in a rut about. The more I read here, the more I get the feeling this person is, yeah, in real a need to pull themselves out of the current situation that they're in, out of their current environment, and to surround themselves with like-minded, intelligent, analytical, non-conformist thinkers. This is certainly the hand of, a psychologist, someone who has a deep need to help others using their very sort of sensitive but analytical nature. Now, at the age of 25, we can see here, it's about 24, we can see here one um, direct sort of effort line rising from the lifeline. These little branches that rise upwards from the lifeline, rising lines are striving efforts to improve. Vertical lines are always positive. There's another at 26 or so as well. Now this is corroborated on the fate line here, and at the age of 26 we can see here a square is formed. From the age of 26 to 25 there's a need here to protect their path in life, so to speak, their chosen path. And we can see that there are some sort of money issues. Maybe issues isn't the right word to use. They're certainly making money, but it's ever so slightly wavy, which shows that this person is changing career roles. They're not out of work at any one time. They're doing things wisely, but this is likely due to having had to make a literal move. But this square here that's sort of connecting both the fate lines, this secondary fate line, by the way, is again showing this need and desire to help others. This is the role that they want to really nurture um, and make happen. They want to make this possible. In order to do this, they need to pay the bills, buy time, learn a bit more, and become qualified. Now, in dermatoglyphics, that is the analysis of skin ridge patterns, and I've already done a little bit of that with showing you the whorl on the Jupiter finger. You can also see skin glyphs, if you like, in the palms themselves, palmar ridge patterns. And we can see one here, and it's a loop of seriousness. It reaches down in between Apollo and Saturn. And again, this provides a very sort of impartial, but approachable and sensitive, empathic nature. So all of the characteristics that are required to become someone who is able to counsel others. And I'm not just seeing that in that one sign alone. I'm seeing it from all of the things combined here that I've seen in this person's palms. They are, although they're very young, I have a feeling this person is very wise and older for their years. Notice how the thumb itself, it comes right up to the um, third phalanx of Jupiter, the halfway mark of the third phalanx, and this is always someone who is a deep thinker. Now, this is not something I see all that often. Notice the left hand here, we've got these diagonal sort of upward streaks here on Jupiter. Now, these aren't uncommon, but these in this amount, it's certainly unusual to see this many. And what we're seeing here is a great amount of sympathy, a great amount of empathy. Again, a great emotional awareness, a great emotional intelligence, and all the things I'm saying here point towards this person making an exceptional counselor, psychiatric practitioner, or psychologist. Now, I've answered some of the questions, not in this order, but I'm going to speak about relationships in general. Now, relationship lines or attachment lines, marriage lines, if you like, are seen just underneath the little finger or the Mercury finger, and they come as horizontal lines. And on these, you can see certain sort of developments in relationships. The lower down, the closer they are to the heart line, the earlier on in life these relationships occur. And for this person, there, appears to be several ahead of them. Right up here, you're looking at the age of around about 50 or so. It's very rough, very, it's not exactly accurate by any long shot. But what I do see here is, I think because the person's so young, it's not really possible to talk about relationships, any further than sort of, um, or anything for that matter, more than sort of 20 years ahead, because our present circumstances is going to change so much that so too will the lines in our hands as a reflection of our future possibilities. Now, what I notice here is that we've got a line here that sort of creeps across the palm and looks to, um, you could say that actually it comes from closer on the domestic sphere on the left hand and it reaches right over. So, this being the left, it's what's internal, and this being, it's likely that these attachment lines will slowly move down the palm and fade away slightly as time goes on, and others replace them above them. That's how I believe these lines work, although very little study has ever really been done in this sort of field. What I do know is that these lines themselves are quite fickle in terms of the information they present, and I do think that being the left hand is showing us this person has been let down by someone that they felt very close to very recently. I believe that they were cheated on. Now, this on the right hand is what this, need for the heart asking the head for support at this time. The emotions are asking for logic at a time when things feel a bit too much, and there's a feeling of a need for orientation, which is likely the need for a request for a palm reading. Or perhaps it's, one of the factors. In terms of health, I can see here a bit of a fractured girdle of Venus here. It's sort of trying to assist the heart's function here. This is a sign of potential atrial fibrillation or um, a possible irregularity with the heartbeat. And this is also backed up by this island we're seeing on the heart line here. And if you look closely, you've got um, there is an influence from this at the age of 35. So what we're seeing here is this need to protect this path here. And it could well be that at the age of 35, we're a square inside the lifeline. There's potential um, need for uh, cardiac support at this time. And as I say, it's important not to look too far ahead. This is 20 years ahead. I'm looking for this person at the moment. So it's very possible and very easy, in fact, to support the heart now. And by the time, this person reaches this age, these lines will have changed. It's what we do in the present that matters. So I'm trying to reassure this person and anyone else that has similar signs or anyone else that I've advised in terms of heart health, we can make changes gradually every day and quite powerfully, consistently. So what I'm saying here is this might, this isn't an obstacle that stops their career. We can see their life path moving on after this time, but it could well be. a temporary um, trip to the hospital. At least that's what the hands are saying at the moment, because the hands always tell us this is what will happen if you keep going down the road you're going, or at least it's the most likely outcome. Now, the lifeline here, I notice, is quite short. A short lifeline does not mean a short life. In this case, I do believe this person is making some major changes to their life right now. They're making some major decisions about how they're going to make, change their life, change their environment, who they live with, how they live their lives. And so the lifeline itself is almost under reconstruction. And quite often in palmistry, where you see the lifeline stop, the fate line takes over. And you can actually see where this occurs here. And you can see where the lifeline almost carries on here. This is not a fate line. This is actually the lifeline. Now, as this person um, makes these changes and settles down, this line here will change. There'll be um, perhaps a sort of fork coming off the fate line here, and this is the lifeline overlapping, and it's again showing this move outside of the environment. So I want to again reassure that a short lifeline, it doesn't mean a short life, especially not in this case. And you can see the differences here on the left hand here. It's very different, because the idea about how this person is going to live their life and their environment is very different to what we see on the right hand. And actually, if you look at the lifeline, it hugs quite closely. It hugs the Venus mount quite closely, and it's showing this person's um, potentially their social sphere is quite limited. That's how they feel. And again, this is in line with, feeling sort of stuck in a rut with these two fingers being quite close together. And it may well have some indication here as a clue as to the way in which they were brought up as well. But when we look on the right hand, what we see here is that this is broadening, this is widening. The Venus mount is actually appears larger. And so they're again coming out of their shell. They're experiencing new things. They're understanding new ways about how the world works, and they're developing new friendships as well. In terms of their financial situation, we see here two sun lines on the left hand. At 17, it's quite remarkable really to see sun lines like this. Their ideas about their capabilities are realistic, but they're also strong. Now, I've mentioned that the Jupiter and Apollo fingers are level with each other. This is one of the signs of fame in palmistry, because when we have a good understanding of what we're capable of, we are able to achieve without destroying ourselves or our working relationships. And it's optimal to what I'm trying to say, really. So to have two success lines, it shows this person has strong ideas about what it is that they're going to do and how they're going to make money, how they're going to utilize their skill set. Now, the right hand doesn't quite show the same strength of sun lines or Apollo lines. It's not quite as strong. You can even see a bit of an indentation here. We don't quite see that on the right. And this is quite often a sign of someone who is their outgoings are just as much as their income. Money is coming out just as fast as it's coming in. And again, this is another sort of corroborating factor of feeling sort of stuck in a rut, having to contribute quite heavily to their domestic sphere. It's quite a lot of pressure on this person at this time, and this isn't doing their health any good. This person really needs to reduce stress where possible, to avoid any unnecessary drama in their life, any unnecessary negativity from people around them, any stressful situations, stressful work roles as well. Stressful stop will have a direct knock-on effect on their physical health. So it's really important that they acknowledge that and do their best to stay away from stressful situations. So the pressures that might be put on them by others at this time is really unfair and unhealthy. So, in answer to your question, what kind of life is ahead of me? It's very difficult for me to answer that because, as I've already explained, the lines in our hands will change so dramatically with our day-to-day present changes to our life. So, what I would like this person to do is actually email me in 5 years' time, and I will do another reading. I'm not going to charge them. In fact, I'm very tempted to refund them for this reading because I feel a bit conflicted about taking money from someone so young. Um, so, what I can see here is a potential for a career out of supporting others with um, helping in some way with their lives, counseling, as I say, and I see a certain potential for that. But by the time that this person reaches, that kind of potential, the palms will likely have changed drastically. So I'm certainly going to put forward the possibility of a refund here. This person has certainly a gift in understanding the occult arts and may well make a great palmist themselves, in fact. Not a bad age to start palmistry. It's very difficult to say what it is that they will end up doing, but I can say with certainty they have exceptional intuition, empathy, and great awareness about them, a great wisdom there. Um, they're wise before their years, and they're obviously very intelligent as well. The thumb as well. I mean, it's just showing an exceptional ability to be impartial, to judge without judgment almost. Let me know what your thoughts are on this reading. I'm hoping you learned a few things here. My hope is with every video, my subscribers can learn something from each of them. Um, but perhaps you disagree. Perhaps you feel um, that this person should have a refund. I'd like to know what their thoughts are as well. I feel a bit conflicted. I didn't realize they were quite so young when I took the booking. So it's all a learning curve. I'm learning as well. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.